Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. Up 10 most outlandish championship belt designs in wrestling history. At one point or another, every pro wrestling enthusiast has dreamt of one day holding one of the sport's prestigious championship belts. Every fan has their own particular favorite belt, but for the most part, the big gold belt, the winged eagle belt, and the classic WWE Intercontinental Championship belt get the most love. There have been countless championship belts featured in pro wrestling over the years. Some have been a bit more outlandish than others. Still, just because they were outlandish doesn't mean some of them weren't top-notch designs. Here are some of the most outlandish championship belt designs in wrestling history. If there's one thing wrestling fans have learned about MJF over the past 5 years, it's that he's certainly a showman. His recent redesign of the AEW International Championship is just the latest example of this. Honestly, this belt is only this low on the countdown because it's the most recent. It honestly deserves higher placement. The USA theme on the redesign is very eye-catching. The stars and stripes on the strap just make the plates pop even more. Sadly, this beauty of a championship wasn't long for this world. At All in 2024, Will Ospreay defeated MJF for the International Championship and immediately restored the original design. We move from one United States-themed championship to another one. It's not exactly clear what caused it, but American society loved anything that was shiny and spun in the early 2000s. Be it rims, jewelry, or even wrestling championships. Enter the Doctor of Fugonomics. After winning the WWE United States Championship at WrestleMania 20, John Cena eventually introduced a custom US title that fit the times perfectly. The Spinner US Championship got a lot of grief back in its day, but today, hindsight allows us to appreciate it for what it was, a fun, eye-catching, if not outlandish prop. On top of being half of arguably the greatest tag team in ROH history, Jay Briscoe was a former 2-time ROH World Champion. His brother Mark, on the other hand, had never reached that level of success. After Jay's tragic and untimely death in 2023, Mark embarked on a successful singles run. Eventually, at Supercard of Honor 2024, Mark Briscoe captured that elusive ROH World Championship. Shortly after winning the title, Mark introduced a custom championship belt. Truthfully, the belt is a bit outlandish with the camouflage strap and half Confederate flags on the center plate. Admittedly though, it perfectly embodies Mark Briscoe and makes him feel a bit more special as champion. In 2011, Zack Ryder was struggling to gain any real traction in WWE. This led to Ryder getting himself over online. Ryder's new popularity made him an overnight sensation in WWE. On his web series, Ryder often featured the outlandish Internet Championship belt. The belt was pretty darn unique. The center plate featured a silhouette of Ryder's head wearing a headband and sunglasses. The side plates were branded with the logos of popular social media sites as well as Ryder's personal logo. The belt was never an official WWE championship, but for a while there it took on a life of its own. The history of the UWF is long, complicated, and frustrating. At the start, the promotion had some promise and a lot of momentum. Sadly, it quickly became clear that the promotion's leader, Herb Abrams, was in way above his head. Bluntly, Abrams didn't know what he was doing and was out to make himself a star above all else. During its 6-year existence, the UWF featured upwards of 10 wrestling championships, including the UWF Sports Channel Television Championship. Despite never reaching any true level of prestige, the belt was very eye-catching and outlandish. The white strap and UWF side plates were different enough to stand out, but the title never caught on the way Abrams had hoped for. Today, it's almost blasphemous to say anything negative about Bray Wyatt or his Fiend persona. When taking off the rose-colored lenses though, It's pretty obvious that the Fiend character wasn't perfect by any means. Aside from the frustrating booking the character received, he also had one of the worst custom championship belts ever. The belt, which had the Fiend's likeness on the center plate, was the worst type of outlandish there is. Sure, it made sense for the Fiend to have a title belt like that, but it was too self-serving to appeal to a wider audience. The custom Universal Championship is one of the few things about the Fiend that fans didn't get on board with. Specific divisions within a promotion often experience highs and lows in terms of quality. WWE's women's division clearly entered a low point in 2008 when the Divas Championship was introduced. Firstly, diva is a derogatory phrase. A diva is a self-important person who is temperamental and difficult to please. Second, the WWE Divas Championship wasn't a joy to look at. The outlandish butterfly design was yet another subtle slap to the face of the entire division. Just about every women's wrestling fan was happy to see the title belt go when it was retired in 2016 in favor of the current WWE Women's Championship design. Jeff Hardy has one of the most accurately descriptive nicknames ever, the Charismatic Enigma. There is just something about Hardy's free spirit attitude that appeals to a large portion of wrestling fans. That's not to say Hardy never had any creative missteps during his career. Case in point, Hardy's custom TNA Championship. Honestly, the title is undeniably outlandish, but it always seemed to fit Hardy's persona and overall vibe. Hardy is an artist and the belt is artistic. The problem was that it only made sense for Hardy to have. When Sting held this particular belt, it made him and the championship seem out of place. Makes sense considering the championship essentially had Hardy's face on the center plate. An alternate version of this belt would later be introduced with a black strap and redesigned center plate. As far as gimmick championships go, this may just be the silliest one ever. In 2007, before James Storm and Bobby Roode formed the popular Beer Money Incorporated tag team, Storm found himself in a beer-centric feud with Rhino and eventually Eric Young. The feud with Young eventually led to the introduction of an outlandish championship. The Beer Drinking Championship was never an official TNA championship. It wasn't even a real belt. The title was simply a toy WWE spinner belt with beer bottles glued on it. The quality of the belt didn't matter much though, since the title was simply a gimmick. The belt would only exist a few months before Rhino destroyed it, but it was fun while it lasted. Like any other top star, John Cena had his fair share of detractors. Those detractors often rolled their eyes in disgust at anything Cena did. The WWE Spinner Championship belt was high on the list of things that got Cena more hate. The Spinner Championship was a fun prop. There's no denying it fit Cena's character perfectly. The real issue with this particular championship is that it was too outlandish to fit anyone else's character. When it permanently replaced the WWE Championship belt, a big portion of fans hated it. Again, it made total sense for Cena to wear a blinged-out monstrosity of a championship belt, but on anyone else that title seemed out of place and borderline silly. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our WWE Action Zone channel and stay with us.